Hey y'all, little old black eagle here. I thought now that the Sarah Boone trial is over that I would do, I don't know what you want to call it, little dissertation on the whole affair and probably do it in two parts just because I got a little bit to say and primarily coming from the place of an observer, but an observer who is a recovering alcoholic. And straight up, unequivocally, without hesitation, I think we all can agree that both Sarah Boone and George were alcoholics. And most likely, every day of every week of every year, their life revolved around alcohol. And yeah, I mean, the cop calls, the neighbor complaints, obviously, neither one of them were employable, um, on and on and on. The ex needing to come and sort of take over primary parenting of the kid, which I will also say that it was good to not have him dragged through the entire thing. But as a parent, I kept thinking about her son. And ironically, how all of a sudden when she was in the interrogation room, it was this, hyper focus on I've got to, Lucas needs me. Like all of a sudden, oh my God, he needs this and he needs that, which from all accounts that I saw anyway, the ex was running shotgun to whatever she had going on as a parent. And, luckily for the kid, he seems like a pretty easygoing guy. His primary focus was his kid. And it appeared that he did his best to sort of keep his son as protected from her as he could. But anyway, so getting back to my primary feelings about this case, the bottom line is George's death was a direct result of alcohol, period. And, everyone's like, well, he didn't deserve to die. No shit, he didn't deserve to die. Yeah, I think we can all agree on that. It blows my mind when people say, well, they didn't deserve to die. Yeah, no kidding. But my brain goes towards thinking this particular evening was one of many, many, many. I'm sure the neighbors and anybody in the vicinity of those two, had the bird's eye view of serious dysfunction. And we saw a little bit of that throughout the trial. And yeah, I mean, her personality was probably one of the most abrasive personalities that I've seen on, in a situation like that, just because the woman just couldn't help herself. She had zero ability to regulate or sort of, read the room of any given situation and see that, she was the problem. And yeah, I mean, right up until the end, that woman did not have the ability to step back and say, you know what? Maybe now is not the time to start pointing fingers at everybody else but herself. And blaming everybody else for her situation, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, so, and again, we don't, her personality was so large, and obviously George had a much more passive way about him. And, I mean, it doesn't take a monkey to figure out that she was the abuser. He might have had his moments. He might have gotten sick and tired of her bullshit, but for the most part, she ruled the roost, so to speak. And, one of the things you learn in recovery is that the more control somebody tries to gain, the more out of control they are. And so, I mean, in her own way, in her own mind, in their small little world, on a daily basis, she did try to maintain some resemblance of order. But when it comes to the booze, it took over everything. And so, yeah. So I think about the night that everything went down, and her whole thing about hide and seek, which, I mean, she was probably just trying to pull things out of her ass in the moment. And that's what she came up with, which, my 6-year-old grandson could say that was probably one of the most stupid defense, things that you could come up with, because it just, I mean, he'd be like, geez, Nona, when you play hide and seek, doesn't one person hide and the other one go try to find him? Not, you know. I mean, ultimately, it came to, in my opinion, it came down to, let's see if you'll fit in the suitcase. That was a more believable, quote unquote, game, if there were to be one. And you know, Sarah Boone was a blackout drinker, and I don't know if you know anybody that's ever been a blackout drinker, but they sort of hover in a gray area. I mean, I don't know if you've ever drank to the point where you wake up the next day and you're not quite sure what you said, and things sort of start coming to you. And that's one thing. But when you're in a complete blackout and you don't remember standing over your partner in a suitcase, berating him verbally, physically, and then basically saying, go fuck yourself, when he's saying, look, I can't breathe. This isn't a joke. Like, and, for her to just turn around and go upstairs and, do I think that she intentionally thought, well, I hope he dies? Probably not. Has she probably said something to that effect somewhere along the line in their drunken relationship? Sure. Do I think she did it that night? No. I think, that she, whatever, threw him down the stairs, said, go fuck yourself, and thought she'd go upstairs and let him suffer a little bit. And then she went from gray to black, and she passed out. And, I mean, it's not like she passed out and came to an hour later. She passed out and came to, at 1:00 in the afternoon the next day. And she was coming out of it, and all of a sudden she was like, holy fuck, he's still in there. And even in that moment, she probably didn't think that he was dead. I mean, God knows how many situations they had been in the past where, she probably ran down those stairs figuring he was going to be pissed off and whatever. But I'm sure the last thing that she thought of was that he was going to be dead. And from that point forward, she was just beyond out of her head. And you could see it. But here's the other thing, okay? That ultimate reality that, holy shit, he's dead. And she immediately goes into trying to cover her ass, okay? She makes the call, the cops show up. But here's the thing that stands out to me, okay? She's not freaking out because the guy's dead. She's freaking out because all she wants is that Dr. Pepper that she left on the counter and the pack of cigarettes that she left on her porch. That's all she cared about at that point in time. Is she needed some physical relief. And if you're a smoker or, if you've ever woken up hungover, what do you want? You want a Pepsi and a, whatever. And that was the beginning. You started to see Sarah Boone having absolutely zero control of a situation. This is the first time that no matter what she said, no matter what she did, she was no longer running the show. And, that behavior, or whatever you want to call it, carried through right into the interrogation room, where she was like, well, I need to get my stuff, and my son needs this, and my son needs that. And just watching the detectives, they're like, yeah, I'm sure, don't worry about it. We'll get to that. We've got more pressing things to get to. So anyway, I'm going to stop here for now. I'm going to come back with part 2 and keep going.